I'm Neelam, I'm a third year medical student. I went to a school in Rochdale that didn't commonly have students that went to university, especially for medicine. Both my parents have never been to university, and I am the first person in my family that wanted to go into doing medicine. So for me, I remember when I was in year 9, I wasn't sure as to what I actually wanted to do. And it's quite hard for me, especially since my parents had never been to university. But they'd always encouraged it. They was always promoting it. They was like, even though we've never been, we want you to go. So in that sense, I guess I was quite lucky. So I remember thinking, well, I do want to go into university, but I'm not sure what I want to study. At that point, I was undecided between law and medicine. So what I did at that point is that I aimed as high as I could, just so I could encompass doing both, so that regardless of what my results were, I could either go into medicine or law. So I picked my options and I got my grades, and I made sure, I remember when I got my GCSE results, the first thing was that as long as I've got A's and A stars, which I need for both courses, I should be fine. So that's what my aim was, and that's what I kind of went for. I then went to Rochdale sixth form, and I picked my options again, making sure that whatever degree I want to do, I can encompass both of it, because I still wasn't decided. So at that point I picked chemistry, biology, maths and law. So that was just to make sure that if I ever want to go into law, I can do that, and if I want to do medicine, I can go into that. At that point I applied for the Manchester Access programme. I was informed by one of the students that was at my college. So I applied for that and I got in. At that point, whilst I was doing it, and I was at college, my mum went in for major surgery, and she came out with no complications, and the surgery was successful. So at that point I then made my decision. I was like, actually, I don't want to do law anymore. I want to be able to help people the way that surgeons help my mum. I want to be able to make a difference in people's lives like that. So at that point, I think it was quite early on in year 12, I kind of made a decision, actually, I'm going to stick with medicine, and that's what I want to do. I'd got into the Manchester Access programme, so whilst I was doing that, I did an assignment, and I did that on multiple sclerosis, and obviously I did all the activities and workshops that were part of the Manchester Access programme. I remember completing that, and I remember being certain that, well, now that I'm got into the Manchester Access programme and that I've completed the assignment and I've completed the course, that's probably the perfect safety net for me when I applied for the University of Manchester. Whilst I was on the programme, there's also an opportunity for Decision Manchester. So what this is, it's kind of like a mock for your UCAS application form. So what it is basically you fill out all the details that you would on your UCAS application form, and as well as that, you also have the opportunity to send in your personal statement that you would for medicine, which is what whatever course you want to do, but for me it was for medicine. So I remember sending in my personal statement, and this is a mock UCAS form. So it's sent in to the university, it's read by Manchester Medical School, because that's the course I was applying for, and you would then get a response. So you would either get rejected depending on that application form, you would then be either offered an interview if that's the next step, or you'd be offered either a conditional offer. I remember when I was doing it, I was accepted for an interview. So at that point, I remember I was overjoyed, because I was like, well, now when I submit my UCAS form, I know I'm definitely going to be offered an interview from the University of Manchester. So that took off a lot of pressure for me. And I remember that whilst I was on the course, they were like, well, if you do get rejected, depending on the Decision Manchester that you do send in, we'll offer you more support to improve it and tell you where you can improve your application form. So there's always two sides of the story, so there was always support available in that sense. So I remember submitting my application form, and then I was doing work experience as I went along whilst I was in college with the Deaf Children's Society. And I got to my second year of A-level, I'd submitted my personal statement. With my personal statement, I was lucky to have a lot of support from someone from a particular teacher who'd actually applied to do medicine, but had decided throughout the course that it wasn't for him, and had decided to change courses. But I had support from him, and he was able to give me a load of advice, and he helped me with a lot of my personal statement drafts. I remember submitting my application form after having received my Decision Manchester reply, and feeling confident that I'm definitely going to get an interview from Manchester. I remember then getting all the information back depending on if I'd got an interview or not, and then doing all my interviews. I remember then I got to about January, I'd had all my interviews, and I was like, okay, so now I'm basically just going to dedicate myself to making sure that I can do the best that I can, and then I actually get my A-level results. So at that point, that's all it was. I was just constantly studying. And I remember when it came to results day, I think it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I hadn't slept the night before. I was just really nervous. And it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I got an email saying, there's been a change on your UCAS application form. So at that point, I'd say my heart was literally probably in my throat. And I remember running to my brother's room and knocking on and like, okay, so there's a change on my UCAS form. I really need to open it, but I can't open it on my own. So I went running in, opened UCAS, and I was really nervous. My hands were literally shaking because I was so nervous as to what the result was going to be. And as soon as I opened it, it said, you've been offered a space to do medicine at University of Manchester. And at that point I was overjoyed. At that point I was like, I've got into medicine, it doesn't even matter. I hadn't even got my results at that point, and I was like, I don't even care what I've got into medicine, and that's all I've ever wanted. And I remember I was just overjoyed. I was just grinning all day. And then eventually it was time to go collect my results, but because I already knew I'd got into the course I wanted, it never really fazed me. I don't think I was actually interested in what my results were. So it was kind of more of a stepwise process, just went collecting my results. And then it started in September, and since then I've just been studying in Manchester. Thank you, Mum and Dad. If you never supported me, I literally wouldn't be where I am today. You've helped me so much. I know, obviously, it was hard in all senses. There was a lot of breakdowns. There was a lot of emotional... there's a very emotional me a lot of the times. But you kind of just kept with it. You stuck with me. And them words of encouragement were like gold. So thank you so much.